Yes, it's still AM Saturday Live, and like I told you at the beginning of this program, we're defining our values as a people today. And that's something we started on Saturday. And I have my guest already in the studio. I told you earlier that Fola Daniel is also already here with us. He himself is an inspiration. We'll get to that story some other day. But indeed, he is a leadership and family instructor?
Well, leadership productivity coach.
You know, everything.
Just to keep it simple.
Let's make it simple. So, thank you very much for being here this morning. So we're starting off. As a people, what is our value, or what are our values if they are in multiple, or if it's singular? What is that value that we're talking about?
Okay, maybe I should say the values we used to have and were known
for.
Hold
on. The value we used to have?
Yes.
So they're no longer existent?
Not that they're not existing, but they're not as celebrated as they used to be.
Okay.
And not everyone is pushing for the same value anymore. So we used to have integrity. It was paramount. We used to have hard work as a value. We used to have decency. We used to have patience and communal parenting. Integrity, hard work, patience, decency, and communal parenting, 5 of them. So under integrity, you will cover a whole lot of things. How people deal in their businesses today with other people.
Yes.
How spouses deal with themselves. How people who live in the same community deal with themselves. As far as hard work is concerned, we will cover unemployment to a large extent, because you realize that when we say that unemployment is in double digits in Nigeria and in some other African countries, you realize that it's not just unemployment because the government has not created opportunities. There's also unemployment because there are some people who are waiting until something is handed to them without thinking about creating an opportunity for themselves. Take, for example, what's currently going on in the United States is that people are willing to pay double the minimum wage for an hour, and they are not getting people who want to do the job. So it's not
That's
that there's
a major issue.
So it's not that there's no job.
But people are just not ready for it.
People don't want to work in the office anymore. People want to work remotely. A lot of people want to work from home. And you can't work in a restaurant and work remotely.
It's not possible.
So,
you can't work in a hospital and work remotely.
Exactly, you have to be there in person. So America is having that problem right now. A lot of people don't want to go and work physically. So in Nigeria, the problem is there are quite a number of young people who are being offered some jobs, and the first consideration is how much is it? And if it's not paying what they have in their mind, they're not even thinking, okay, let me start from there. And maybe something better will come out of it. The most important thing is how much is it? And we'll come back to why that value was eroded. That's for hard work. Then we have patience. For patience, it was not about, I want to make it now. It's not about we must have everything now. So we used to have a time when everybody understood you had to wait. We used to have a time when everybody understood to get to this level, you must have been in the system for like 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. People will talk about how they've been doing something for 15 years. Today, people don't want to brag about how they've been doing something for 15 to 20 years anymore. People want to talk about, oh, I started it just last month. And
I don't blow now.
So that's for the part of patience. Patience. Even elderly people are no longer patient. The elderly people who should teach the young ones patience. You drive in traffic today, and it's sad that sometimes it's the elderly people who should tell young people how to drive that are driving recklessly.
Wow.
I've seen quite a number of that, and I'm wondering, if you are driving like this, what are you saying to me? Or what am I supposed to,
what am I supposed to learn from you?
You should be because I learned how to drive from my dad. The way he comported himself in traffic, the way he did things. And if somebody was overspeeding, he would say, let him go. We're not competing. We're not in a race. So why should I be? So, and I'm wondering, elderly people today are not modeling that exact same thing for a lot of young people. Now, you come to decency. decency was a thing. There was a time when the strap of your bra should not be seen. There was a time like that.
That was, should I say, sacrilegious, if that happens.
I mean, there was a time when your underwear lines should not be seen.
But now you must sag. You must let us see your boxers, even though they are dirty.
These days, the whole of the package is unveiled.
Yes. Yes.
So decency is no longer a thing. And then we lost decency because of the other one, which is the communal parenting. So there was also a time when you could beat my child and my child would be afraid to report exactly what happened to me. Because when you report it, you get additional beating.
That's double tragedy.
But right now, if you beat my child, the first natural response is not to ask, what did you do?
Hey?
The next thing is to go and fight the person who beat you. There was a time, for example, when someone came to my house to report to my dad that your son fought my daughter and stuff like that. My dad said, he can't be my son. And the reason he said he can't be my son, it was for two things. First of all, what they said I had done was unbelievable. Secondly, he knew that I dare not. Because if I did it, I was practically dead. So he said, go and call him. But while I was away, he kept telling them,
it is not my son.
It can't be.
Not
and that it can't be
is that this boy is in for it.
So when I showed up and they said, no, he's not the one, he said, I said it that he can't be.
He can't be because he knows that he's dead meat.
But I mean, that was a time. But today, if anybody accuses you of something, parents don't wait to ask their children, did you do it or did you not do it? The next thing is we fight those people
that try to correct that child.
So if you look at all the 5 issues, as simple as they are, there's hardly any problem we have in this country
that is not hinged on all of this.
I wish we had a board and I'll just itemize them and name any problem. I'll find a place to put them for you.
Okay, let us start because I have a lot of messages and I think they're all hinged on this 5. So even without the board, maybe we can start. This gentleman that sent this message says, our reorientation must begin with our religious leaders changing their messages from monetary, position, and status focused to moderacy, truthfulness, and a lifestyle of impeccable character. Note that we all belong to one faith or another. So where do we hang this?
To an extent, I don't agree because it comes back to the blame game.
Okay.
If we keep talking about our religious leaders, should we give the proper perspective?
Let's have it.
Take, for example, Nigeria is over 200 million.
Yes.
Officially, we don't have 70 million religious people in this country. Officially.
Out of the 200 million.
And the 70 million is a combination of both Christians and Muslims.
And Muslims.
So really, if you're talking about our religious leaders, the official figure says that we have less religious people compared to those who do not associate actively with any religion. So when we keep talking about religious leaders, we're just looking for someone to blame. And that's the truth. How many people actually listen to many of these religious leaders compared to the population of the country? That's not to say that they don't have any form of influence. And I also listen to quite a number of these people. How many people actually just talk about money? Is it possible to preach, for example, for 1 whole hour, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, and the whole thing you talk about is money?
I don't think so.
And I listen to quite a number of these things. They talk about money also from the perspective of hard work.
Yes.
And that it pays to work hard. If you work hard, this is what you get. Is it not the truth? And you're in a country where a lot of people actually don't have what it takes to, a lot of people are not feeding well. A lot of people don't have good jobs. So you should understand that it's the system that is necessitating some of those messages. And if you listen to them within the proper context, they are more like encouraging the people to say, look, if you work hard, if you do this, if you keep trusting God, this thing is eventually going to happen. And it's not a lie. However, I agree with him to the extent that there has to be a balance.
Okay.
In what a lot of people are presenting, especially if you're an influential leader. There has to be a balance, no doubt about that. But you see, there are more people on the streets than religious leaders. Is it
that are
religious?
not even going to all those religious houses in the first instance.
So if all the religious leaders were to be talking about, say, holiness, righteousness, serenity, and whatever it is that we want them to preach, we still will not get rid of the problems in the society.
So how do we begin to get rid of these problems?
I have always said that as a society, we should tone down on promoting instant money, quick money.
Okay, maybe
For example,
this,
there was an
okay.
elderly person who asked a young boy, say, why are you doing all this? Don't you know where they're doing Yahoo?
An elderly person
Yes.
asked a young boy that.
Said it to a young person. Say, what's this one? Don't you know where they're doing Yahoo?
So what do you expect that
And the
boy
young
to do?
man was discouraged. And like, I was so disappointed. How can an elderly man say this to a young person? So we said, if anybody buys a car, you see, today nobody questions the source of the person's wealth.
You said that last Saturday. You said that emphatically.
So if we don't come back to all of those things, for example, these are also the days when you buy things for even your parents and they're not suspicious of,
How you came about it.
and that has to come back. As little as bringing pencils back from school.
You're in trouble, though.
Yes, it can't happen in our own house. You can't bring pencil back from school.
But if that happens, they'll say the child is smart.
In fact, one of the things that I work on these days is I notice that if someone is carrying a gadget, my son tends to cling to the person. And I started spanking him for that. I said, you can't be going to people and just be clinging to them just because they're carrying gadgets. And for my phone, it's a no-go area. When you come of age, then you can own one. And when my daughter was asking for a phone, I bought her a touchlight phone. I said, at your age, that's all you get. Because, yes, sometimes we may not be home and we just need to reach you, but that's all you get at your age. And at that same age, there are other children who are already using iPads and all the biggest gadgets you can imagine.
Even the ones that you can't afford, those children are using
So
them.
if we don't come back to that time when we don't celebrate just seeing people buy stuff, but we question, did you really work to get this thing? Or how are you able to afford these things? If we don't come back to that time, we're not going to get these values back on board.
Okay, this message says we must begin to reorientate our youth that all the rubies in the world are worthless without character by punishing openly those who acquire money illegally. I think this person is speaking your mind.
But we can't even reorient them if we are not demonstrating it. On the social media, we see a governor's convoy. We see the convoy of ministers. We see the convoy of some political appointees. And these are people who, in their states, are struggling to pay salaries.
So you begin to wonder, where's the meeting point?
And then some of them, someone with a school cert can become president, but you can't get a decent job with a school cert. So what exactly?
Even with a master's degree.
You can't get a good job with that. And in this time when
You remember
PhD
the lawyer that
holders-
is being offered 25,000.
naira. And when PhD holders are even applying for the job of a driver. It happened years ago in this country, just a few years back.
Yes.
So what are you modeling for us, or what are you telling me? That with my school cert, with my WAEC certificate, I can become a governor, I can become the president, but with a master's degree, we can't get a decent job.
This person, OC says our traditional rulers must stop recognizing every Tom, Dick and Harry with titles simply because they have illegally, we're not sure they illegally acquired wealth to throw around. Others who recognize criminals in this manner must be dethroned to serve as a lesson. That's a very tough one.
For example, I can say maybe the person should have said who may have illegally acquired wealth. And to an extent, I agree with that. For example, in those days, how did people get chieftaincy titles? It must be because you've done something for the community, or that you are an illustrious son. How are you referred to as an illustrious son? In your industry, you stood yourself out. In your industry, you've risen to the highest rank possible. So if those are the things, for example, if a lawyer becomes a son, And we know that over the years, this lawyer has worked hard. In the community will want to honor that kind of a person to show other people that you can work hard and become someone. So those were the people that we recognized in the society. Not just because you went abroad or you went somewhere and you came back with 10 cars and they see that you're living large and they just give you a chieftaincy title, hoping that some of those things you are displaying, the wealth you're flaunting,
to them.
Exactly. So all of that needs to change. It comes back to let's stop promoting and recognizing people who flaunt wealth. Because the real people who made the money don't even flaunt it.
Okay, this person is simply put, pastor. So I already have an idea. It says, we must stop focusing on results, no matter how good it seems, but rather focus must be on the process that produces the result.
I agree completely. I agree completely. Because, you know, when we come to, you know, some people say the end justifies the means.
Really? Does it?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree with this. When someone starts telling you the end justifies the means, they're simply saying it doesn't matter how you get the money. The most important thing is that you have the money. It doesn't matter how you pay your rent. The most important thing is you have a roof over your head. It doesn't matter how you got the car. The most important thing is when it's raining, I'm in my car, you're on the road. So the person who is in his car tells you, Mr. Integrity, can your integrity put an umbrella over your head, or can your integrity move you from point A to point B? And even in offices, in whether in government offices or in private offices, people put it in your face and tell you, where has your integrity gotten you to? And they make sure they orchestrate your stagnation on the basis of your integrity. And then they tell you how far has your integrity brought you.
You know, this is frightening. All those pictures that you're painting now, it's really frightening. And for me, I'm beginning to see, can we ever get back to the good times?
We can.
How?
But it's a lot of work. Now, one of the things I've always said is there are strategic people in places. If all the strategic people, and that strategic, when I say strategic people in places, one way or the other, it's about all of us. To begin with, if you're a father at home, how do you model for your children? If you're a mother at home, how do you model for your children? For example, what are the kind of words you utter at home? Those will determine how your children will begin to communicate. For example, if my children will say certain things and I say to them, do you ever hear anyone in this house say that kind of a thing? And they say no. I say, okay, so why are you copying that? Because of course they mix with other people, they hear things from school, they hear things on the road. So they understand that the way to checkmate whatever it is we're hearing is to look at what we hear at home. So if we don't hear it at home,
then it's a no-no.
But if what they hear at home is not different or is worse, what's the standard for them? Then the second thing, apart from the home, in the schools today, what is it? For example, December is approaching. A lot of the schools will throw end of the year party. The same school that is telling you that hard work pays, study hard, go to school and get a good degree. What kind of artists are they going to bring to come and perform for the children?
The one that blew in how many days?
So you bring people that dropped out of school to perform for the children who are in school.
And they see the ostentatious lifestyle of that person living. And you are telling them, continue with your education. How do they marry that?
It's the same thing with a lot of these banks, a lot of corporate organizations. A bank had an event recently, and I saw the person that they brought to come and perform at a corporate function of a bank. And a lot of the corporate organizations, the multinationals, are like that. So when I'm working, take for example, say I'm working, even if I'm earning decently, maybe earning say 300, 400, 500, but one guy who didn't even finish school comes on stage, performs for like 20 minutes, a song that we already know, that is all over the place. He performs exactly, in fact, he mimes the song.
Because his band is not even there.
So he mimes that same song and earns like 4 million or 5 million under 20 minutes. What are you telling me? So the message is clear, and you're telling this person, and if this person makes a mistake, not the person stole, the person makes a mistake on the job,
he's out. He's fired immediately.
But another person who didn't finish school will come on stage and you pay this guy 5 million, 10 million, sometimes in dollars. to perform for less than 20 minutes a song that everybody knows, a song that doesn't even add any value. So if
that does not teach any lessons.
If we begin to downplay all of those things, the society will change. Until we downplay those things, there's no way the society will change.
What's the starting point for downplaying them?
I've said starting from our homes. Every father is a strategic leader. Every mother is a strategic leader. And there are homes where the children don't have fathers or mothers, but you're an aunt, you're an uncle. What are you modeling for them? Those are the things. Are you even correcting those children around you when you see them, when they start doing certain things, when they start speaking in a certain manner, when they talk to themselves? What do you say to them? Do you correct them when somebody is being rash, when somebody is being unnecessarily aggressive? Do you caution them? So all of it begins from the home, and then we take it out. Sometimes when I don't condone my children. You are with outsiders, you want to misbehave, I spank you immediately. I tell you there's no room to be naughty. And I keep saying to them, I said, how many times have I told you there's no room to be naughty? And I say it to them, whether it's in public or in the house. I said, there's no room to be naughty. You can't. So if we don't do all of that at home, outside, I mean, just like I first heard this proverb from the legendary Pastor Tunde Bakare, one of his sermons. You know, he throws a lot of Yoruba proverbs.
Yes, and all those songs too. He will now put in the songs.
Meaning that your son is not a dry cleaner.
And he keeps bringing all these clothes. And you're like,
You're not correcting him. You're not saying anything. So there are things that the children are doing. There's a lifestyle. How do you explain that a child who doesn't have a job has a phone that is worth 300,000 naira?
And his parents are petty traders.
So how do you explain that they bring home gadgets that are worth 400, 500,000? I see people who are not yet working. I've been working for well over 12 to 13 or almost 15 years. Because before I even left school, I've been going out of school to do some gigs. I would go and compare events. I would go and do training while I was still a student. So I've been working for well over 15 years. I can't put down money to buy those things that some of these people are buying.
Because it doesn't make sense. What value is it adding to your pocket?
And they don't have a job. But nobody is talking about it. So if we don't, how did you get the money? Even if it's a gift, you must, you can't live in my parents' house and accept that kind of gift. From where? How?
Why? And why is that person giving you that gift? Is it your birthday? Is it Christmas?
Even if it's your birthday, what have you done to
warrant that
kind of gift? So there were gifts that we were afraid to collect. As younger people, there were gifts we were afraid to collect. And when you are not afraid to collect somebody who is still in school, I saw a video recently. People who are still in school, your lover proposes to you and gives you a car.
In school?
Yes.
You will tell him where you got that car from. Are you married to him? What exactly?
Even if they were, where did the car come from? So those are the things that we need to, if we don't stop those things, and then this man thing, that you can't get things on the basis of integrity, if you know me, it's a problem. So we keep recruiting the wrong people, and because we keep recruiting the wrong people, the right people are out there. We don't recruit those ones. We recruit the wrong people. We can't even train them, because if you try to correct them on the job, their godfather is waiting somewhere.
Okay, Fola, my producer is telling me that time is up. But this has not been closed, because we're going to now look at the youth perspective. You have told us these are the 5 points: integrity, hard work, patience, decency, and communal parenting. What is the perspective of the average young person to all that you have said? Do they identify with it? Do they agree with it? Do they even see its existence? And of course, you and I will be moderating on that panel. We'll start it off next Saturday. And don't worry, we'll come with the board. Okay, viewers, it is not the end, because this year is winding down and we want to start a better 2022. Let us lay the table clean and have a better life for each and every one of us. Don't forget, Nigeria's reformation, like Fola Daniel has identified, starts with both of us as individuals in a home, as a family. Then we'll move to the larger society. Are you game? Fola, are you ready?
I am.
So we'll meet together again once it's Saturday morning. Get the family. It's going to be a blast here. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you, Fola Daniel, for being here.
My pleasure.
See you again next Saturday. Till we come your way, have a wonderful weekend.